Hello and welcome to Blockchain Gaming World with me, John Jordan. And today we've got a bit of data visualization to have a look at. So let me explain what's going on here. So this is data from the OpenSea marketplace. So the marketplace where companies can sell NFTs and then players or owners can sell NFTs to each other. So basically a trading marketplace for blockchain items. So what is this graph showing? Good question. So what I've done is for the history of OpenSea, since it launched in 2018, I've taken all the, what I've got here on the horizontal axis, DAUs. Technically, it's not DAUs. Technically, it's daily active unique wallets. So we assume they're unique individuals, sort of, but they may not be. We're just looking at wallets here. So possibly there could be one person using multiple wallets or many wallets. And then on the other side, on the vertical axis, we have volume. So volume is the volume of ETH, the cryptocurrency ETH from the Ethereum network that's basically being spent. So what we have here is a scatter graph of the kind of number of, effectively, it's the number of people on the horizontal axis and how much they're spending. So this is, each one of these dots is for a day, and this is for January 2019. So what I've done is I've kind of what we call normalized it. So I've basically taken the average of the DAUs for OpenSea throughout its history and divided every day's DAUs by that number. So if the average for OpenSea would be 100 and a particular day has an average of has 200 users, then it would show up on this graph as 2. Okay. And then same thing for volume. So volume, if the average, if the daily ETH being spent was 2 and the average was 1, then this would come in as 2. So basically, what we're looking at really is how these patterns change. So it's just a way of visualizing data. And what we can see here in this graph is, in terms of the average, in terms of where this scatter is on the horizontal axis, it's around about the 1 mark. So it's between kind of 1 and 2. So historically, compared to historic averages, January had, roughly what we'd imagine, roughly average, a bit higher average in terms of the users. In terms of the volume, the vertical axis, that goes up and down quite a lot. And you can kind of see, this is kind of what we'd expect. Some days are much less. So 1 here is the axis of kind of average. So we've got some days below the buying and selling is below the average, and then some days quite high, so almost up to 3. That's obviously for big sales of big items or games launching pre-sales or something like that. So that's driving volume up there. So this is just like January, just to kind of show us a baseline, and we're going to go through the months and just see how these patterns change. So here is February. Looks broadly similar to January, doesn't it? Actually, the axis here goes up to 5, the vertical axis. So we've actually got this day here with an average of kind of 4 times the average spending going on OpenSea. But we're still kind of, in terms of the users, we're still here between kind of the average 1 and 2, which is still kind of double the average. So it's still not bad, but February is not terribly different from January. Okay, so now we have March. So March is suddenly looking a bit different. Basically, it's the first time we've seen the average number of people increasing. So for the first time, we've got more than double the kind of the average user base for OpenSea. And actually here we've got almost over 5 times the average users. And also because it's high up the vertical axis, so it's over 5 as well. We also have, so we have 5 times more users, we have more than 5 times more users, and the spending is also kind of more than 5 times. So something interesting going on here, some peak sale going on here. It's attracting a lot more people than usual, and it's also attracting them to be spending. And again, we can kind of see it's not just there. We have this dot here is over 3 people, and they're over 3 times the amount of people as normal, and they're spending over 4 times. So something interesting going on there. I haven't actually dated these. It'd be quite interesting to see actually what dates are these. I would imagine these are part of a pattern, probably a pre-sale. So these dates are probably, these days are probably quite close to each other, I would think. But equally, just here as well, we have higher than average, so over 3, almost 3 times here, more people. So something happened in March. Not quite sure what it is yet. I'll have to go back and do some research, but kind of interesting to see this pattern. And this is the reason I chose this kind of scatter graph pattern, because it shows quite clearly this sort of trend. Moving on to April, not quite as exciting as March, so we don't have anything, don't have any activity in this kind of like 5 times kind of region here, but still better than January and February. So still more people than average and more spending going on. Now May. So May, we're kind of going back to how the year started. So suddenly this activity, that there's lots of users coming, has dropped off. So we don't have any days in May where there's more than 2 times the average. Still have these days up here where there's kind of 4 times the spending going on. So there's still some high spending days, but the pattern I kind of see here is, if it's a rule of thumb, I suppose, if there's not more than 2 times the average user base thing going on here, then basically it's just the normal people who come every day to OpenSea are just there doing their thing, doing their trading, whatever games they're specialized in. They're into this sort of stuff, and they're doing trading. So really what we're looking to now in the future months, I'm going to go through, is what's breaking out of this 2 times the average. That's really the trend line that we're looking for. And when we come to June, we see, there's a couple of days just over the 2 mark, but not really much going on here. It's kind of maybe it's starting to be summer. Maybe people aren't so bothered. Interestingly, at this point, we start to see the price of ETH. So the dollar price of ETH is going up. I don't know if that's that's something that would stop people spending ETH. And that's kind of something worth thinking about. I'll have to do some more research to see if I can look at the actual dollar price of ETH. I could probably actually, I'd have to go and do some more, crunch some more numbers, and actually, instead of having volume here, I could have dollar amounts. That'd be quite interesting to see how that changes things. So more research, always more research to do, isn't there? Let's go on to July. So July, very much like June, and actually, apart from these 3 days up here of quite high spending, we're actually activity is kind of collapsing down a little bit to kind of very normal levels. So we're kind of on the, the maximum is 2 times as much spending, and the maximum is 2 times as many people. So we're kind of definitely into some sort of summer kind of a plateau. August, a bit more spending going on, but still in terms of user numbers, pretty static. September starting to get a bit more interesting. So we've still got a kind of cluster down here where we expect it to be, or from August, not much going on. But then we've got these ones up here, these 2 outliers, which is heavy spending. So it's not more users coming in, but obviously we're high up the vertical scale, so we're seeing quite a lot of spending. So almost, it looks like over 7 times the amount of spending that we'd expect. So looks like some kind of pre-sale activity kicking off. And finally, October. So October is really interesting, and this is one of the reasons that I went back to have a look at the data for OpenSea, because we're starting to see something that we haven't really seen, I don't think, before. So we've seen some of these patterns before. So we definitely have days where there's a lot more activity, but previously it's been quite well. There've been kind of outliers in this area, and sometimes over into this area. But in this case, we've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, kind of 6. We've almost got, only less than a quarter of the days are where we expect them. Where we kind of expect them to be. And suddenly we've got a lot of activity now in the 2 to 4 area. So we've got almost 4 times as many users entering OpenSea and doing trading. Spending's not massively high. It's not the highest we've seen, but it is higher. Roughly, I guess it's roughly equivalent to the amount of people coming in. So we've got kind of roughly a 1-to-1 proportion. So the more people coming in, the spending level's the same. So quite a lot of things going into pre-sale during the month of October. Nothing particularly that would drive this on itself, I don't think. Having had a quick look, we've got things like, I guess, kind of Cheese Wizards kind of kicking off again. That's probably that is one of the most high-profile blockchain games. So we're probably seeing some activity around that, and a few other games. And I just think a general uplift is kind of interesting. This is the kind of thing I'm looking to see, using OpenSea as kind of like a vector for what's going on in the rest of the industry. It's not many people, so still like a maximum of about 300 people, I suppose, on OpenSea. That's not a lot of people, even compared to the amount of people playing blockchain games. Maybe less than kind of 5% probably are on OpenSea. But these are the committed people. And we're seeing again some high levels of spending. So that was just a brief kind of rough data visualization of what's going on with OpenSea. I'm going to go back and run some more numbers and maybe make it a bit more bit prettier, and also try and have a look if there's other ways of kind of showing this data as well, which may be more useful. But there we go. I thought it was interesting to show nevertheless. If you have any comments, please put them in the comments box. Always interested to read. Don't forget to subscribe to to my channel. The blockchain gaming world is all about the world of blockchain games, as you'd expect. So do subscribe if you're interested in that. We try to do videos normally about games, more specifically playing blockchain games, but I'm really into data, so I like to do some data stuff as well. So yes, that's it. Thanks for watching the video. Hope to see you again soon.